"Nobody moves," the officer said as the aircraft door opened. His voice cut through the first-class cabin. Cameras tilted up. The purser froze with a tray in her hands. A Filipino man in 2A folded his napkin and looked at his watch. Two more officers stepped in behind the first, followed by a woman in a navy blazer with an airline badge and a stack of papers. The jet bridge was still attached. Ground crew peered in. People whispered. Someone in 1A muttered, "Finally," and sank back in his seat. The purser pointed toward 2A. "That's him. He was—" "No, ma'am," the woman in the blazer said without looking up. "All cabin crew remain seated. We need to speak with you. This aircraft is now under a compliance hold." The cabin went silent. The Filipino man didn't speak. He nodded to the woman in the blazer. She nodded back. The purser set the tray down with shaking hands. 6 hours earlier, at 37,000 feet, meal carts rolled into the aisle. Crystal clinked. Linen snapped. The cabin lights dimmed to warm amber. Passengers snapped photos of their desserts. In 2A, the Filipino man glanced at the window. The Pacific was a dark sheet. "Mr. de la Cruz," the flight attendant with the tight bun smiled like it cost her. "May I see your boarding pass?" He picked it up from the armrest. "Seat 2A, he said. His voice was even. His watch flashed a message. He cleared it with a tap. "Right, I'll need to confirm your meal selection," she said. "We're short." "Vegetarian." "Confirmed yesterday," he said. He had the email. He didn't show it yet. She checked her tablet. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, it shows here, but we gave the last vegetarian to a diamond passenger in 1A. He doesn't eat beef, so we've run out." His eyes flicked to 1A. A man in a navy blazer lifted his flute of champagne and didn't look back. "Your menu listed a vegetarian option." "I confirmed," he said. "We can offer you the beef or the chicken." "Or a fruit plate," she said. But no hot vegetarian left. He glanced at the galley. A younger attendant was plating a dish with greens and rice. 2 more boxed meals sat on the cart under a towel. He could smell the ginger. He knew the supplier. He knew the weight of those boxes. "Is that vegetarian?" he asked, nodding at the plate in the junior attendant's hands. "That's crew meal," the purser said, stepping in. "Different inventory. For safety and duty limitations, crew meals can't be served to passengers." The junior attendant looked up with quick eyes, then down. She slid the plate into the oven with a sigh so small it was almost a thought. "Understood," he said. "Also," the purser added, "please keep your voice down. Other guests are enjoying their meals." He hadn't raised his voice. He nodded. "May I have the fruit plate for now?" "I'll see what we can do," she said, and moved on. In 4C, a toddler's cry broke into a damp cough. His mother rocked him. "It's okay, Mateo," she whispered. A pale man in 3D pressed the call button. "Do you have more champagne?" he asked without looking. The fruit plate arrived. It had 3 strawberries and a pale melon. He pushed it aside. In economy, the smell of noodles drifted forward. His phone vibrated. A message appeared from a contact labeled Lanny. "Zurich team ready on call," it said. He typed back, "Stand by, need exact manifest for flight 172, first-class vegetarian count." He wasn't hungry. He had eaten in the lounge. He could wait. The issue wasn't the meal. It was the shrug. It was the way the purser had said "diamond passenger" like a code for "not you." A man 2 seats behind leaned forward. "They run out all the time," he said, as if offering wisdom. "That's why you always pick beef." He nodded again. "Thank you," he said. He took a sip of water. His throat felt dry like it did before board meetings. The junior attendant appeared. Her name tag read Ray. She kept her voice low. "Sir, I'm sorry. We do have a spare vegetarian. It's unallocated. I can plate it for you." The purser appeared just as fast. "Ray," she said tight. "We discussed this. That's not for service." Ray bit her lip. "We have a kid with an allergy in 4C. The mom asked about ingredients." "Then give it to the kid," the purser said, not looking at the boy. "But not to him." Her eyes flicked to 2A. Something shifted near his watchband. He felt the prick of annoyance turn into a clean line. He picked up the menu and placed it on the tray table. "Give the spare to 4C, he said. "And could I have the ingredients list? I can help the mother check." The purser blinked. "I can handle it." He didn't argue. He stood, unbuckled. The purser's hand lifted as if stopping a child. "Sir, seatbelt." He stopped and waited for a gap in the aisle. The captain's voice came over the PA. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached our cruising altitude." He slipped into the galley with a calm the purser could not block. He asked Ray quietly, "Allergens?" Ray pulled a sheet out from under the oven. Her hands moved quickly. "Peanuts, no. Soy, yes. Sesame, no. It's safe for peanut allergy." Her eyes darted toward the purser, then to the cabin. He walked back to 4C with Ray trailing. The mother looked up, eyes tired, hair frizzed. Her son's cheeks were flushed. "He's okay," she said. "He just gets cranky if he doesn't eat. The last flight ran out of the special meal." Ray crouched. "We have a safe option. Let me get it for you." The purser hovered at the galley curtain, watching. A man in 1A called out without pressing the button. "Excuse me, what about my meal? I was promised 2 mains." The purser turned. "Right away, sir." Ray slid the plate onto the toddler's tray table. The boy kicked the seat ahead, then grabbed the fork with both hands. "Thank you," the mother breathed. She looked at 2A with a question in her face she didn't ask. He nodded once and returned to his seat. His phone buzzed again. "Manifest shows 4 vegetarian first, 1A, 2A, 3F crew spare," Lanny wrote. "Cabin shows 3 loaded, 1 short at catering pickup. Pictures." He looked at the oven, at the cart, at the purser. She was pouring champagne for 1A, who laughed. A crew bag sat on the floor by the galley with a foil container peeking out. He took a photo of the cart, the manifest in Ray's hand, the foil container in the crew bag. He didn't lean. He didn't hide it. Ray's cheeks flushed. She looked like she might say something. She didn't. 20 minutes later, the purser returned with a smile that didn't fit her face. "We've found a solution," she said. "Chicken with just the vegetables, no chicken." "I'll pass," he said. "You're making it difficult," she said softly now. "We're trying to accommodate everyone." Someone in 3A turned and stared. Another phone lifted. The purser saw the phones and changed tone. "Sir, please be reasonable." He placed his napkin on the table. His watch buzzed. "COO redirected to gate," Lanny wrote. "We can meet on arrival. Do you want the compliance team on board?" He typed without looking down. "Yes, bring food safety, bring security." The rest of the flight was quiet. The cabin darkened. Ray refilled waters when the purser wasn't looking. The boy in 4C slept with his mouth open and rice stuck to his chin. In 1A, the man demanded a third dessert. The purser laughed at his jokes. He watched the map move across the ocean. He thought of contracts. He thought of training modules. He thought of the time he made deliveries on a scooter in Quezon City in the rain, and a man argued over a cold soup. He remembered the woman who had apologized to him for the man. He remembered how small apologies mattered until they didn't. The captain spoke again. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've begun our descent into Los Angeles." Lights came up. Window shades lifted. People stretched and put their shoes back on. Ray stood by the galley with her hands folded. The purser adjusted her lipstick in a reflection. "Cabin crew, prepare doors for arrival," the first officer said. The wheels hit the runway with a thud. The plane roared down the asphalt. Brakes hissed. A baby cried. The purser unclipped her harness and flashed a smile at 1A. He winked back. The door opened. The officer stepped in. "Nobody moves." The woman in the navy blazer stepped forward. "Good afternoon. I'm Marissa Chen with operations." She showed her badge to the purser and the rest of the crew. "We need a manifest, catering log, and all unserved meals brought forward now." The purser's face emptied. "Why?" "Complaint from a premium passenger," she said. "Also potential food safety issue. We do this discreetly when we can. Today we can't." Cameras came up. The man in 1A slid down in his seat. "Who complained?" the purser asked, head tilting toward 2A. Marissa didn't answer. "Ray, can you please fetch the unserved inventory?" Ray nodded, hands shaking a little. She opened the cart, counted quickly. 2 beef, 1 chicken, no vegetarian, 1 crew meal in bag. "Please bring it," Marissa said. The purser put a hand on Ray's arm. "No, crew meals are not for." Marissa's eyes were flat. "Bring it." Ray lifted the foil container. The reveal was small, but the cabin felt it. The purser's shoulders rose. The officer with the square jaw stepped closer. "Ma'am, if you obstruct, we'll continue this downstairs." The purser let go of Ray's arm slowly. "Why don't you explain something to me?" Marissa said, flipping through the manifest. 4 vegetarian entries, 3 loaded by the vendor, 1 crew spare loaded according to galley handover. "Purser, where did the 4th go?" The purser swallowed. "We had a last-minute special service for 1A. "That was beef-free, not vegetarian," Marissa said. "He chose 2 beef mains. We have a log." The man in 1A cleared his throat. "Aya requested. We found this in your side compartment," the officer said, holding up a foil-wrapped dish with a sticker veg 4/4. 1A's face went blotchy. "She said I could have it." Ray's hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes went to the purser. The purser didn't move. "Why did you deny 2A?" Marissa asked. "He pre-ordered." The purser's mouth opened and closed. Then she found her words. "We had to prioritize our most frequent flyers." Her eyes flicked to his face. The word hung in the air. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. 2A is a platinum premier, Marissa said, reading from her paper. And your job is not to triage based on your impression of who belongs. Silence. The junior attendant took a half step toward Marissa. Ma'am, Ray said softly, I asked if we could use the unallocated veg for 2A or for the allergy kid. She said no. Thank you, Marissa said. She looked at the purser. Do you have anything to add? The purser's face hardened. We're understaffed. We do our best. Sometimes people expect too much. Marissa blinked twice. This isn't about too much. This is about the manifest, the policy, and the tone you used with a paying customer, and it's about the child. The officer nodded at his partner. Both looked bored, like this was routine and tedious but necessary. Marissa looked at 2A. Mr. de la Cruz, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. He nodded. The purser's head jerked. Wait, de la Cruz, as in? He didn't help her. He watched her do the math. Marissa continued. We're going to take statements. Passengers may deplane as normal. Crew, please remain seated. She turned to the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. People stood slowly, as if the aisle had turned to sticky resin. Phones stayed up. The boy in 4C woke and clapped because other people were clapping. As passengers shuffled out, 1A tried to slip past the officers. The officer with the square jaw held up a hand. You can go, sir. He said it without warmth. 1A looked back at the purser and shrugged like it had been nothing. Ray began to cry quietly. The purser stared straight ahead. A senior flight attendant on the other side picked at a hangnail like it was going to save her. The cabin emptied. The plane felt bigger. The air sounded like an air conditioner eating a storm. Marissa placed a folder on the credenza. She pulled out a printed photo of a smiling man cutting a ribbon in front of a warehouse with a logo, Global Lhasa Logistics. She placed it next to 2A's empty fruit plate. Mr. de la Cruz, you don't have to say anything, but if you would like to share, he stood. He buttoned his jacket. He looked at Ray first. What's your name? He asked. Ray, she said. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. Thank you for feeding the child, he said. Ray nodded like she was in trouble anyway. He turned to Marissa. We're pausing premium catering at gate 52 until your SOP is retrained. Do you have an empty conference room? The purser blinked. Who do you think you are? Marissa didn't move. He's the CEO of the company that makes your crew meal, she said. Her tone did not change. And as of 2 hours ago, he owns 20% of our new food vendor contract. We were supposed to sign today. Ray's eyes widened like they were trying to let in more air. The senior attendant coughed. The purser swallowed nothing. He didn't gloat. I don't want anyone fired because of me, he said, but I want this to mean something. The purser's lips twitched. You could have just asked. He looked at her for a long beat. The silence got heavy. He let it be. Marissa cleared her throat. Ground training team is on standby. Call them, he said. He took out his phone. Lanny, bring the training deck and the audit team to gate 52. 30 minutes. On it, came the reply. He looked back at Ray. How long have you worked here? 2 years, she said. My dad thinks I live in the sky. Your dad's right, he said. Today you did your job. She smiled, watery and confused. The purser's shoulders dropped, then tightened again. You used your position to punish us over a meal, she said, voice thin. He looked at her. You denied a child a safe option to hoard food for a passenger you liked, he said. You denied a pre-ordered meal and lied about inventory. You humiliated me for asking. You raised your voice and then told me to lower mine. That's not about a meal. Her face reddened. We're human. So are the people on this side of the curtain, he said. The officers waited. They weren't here to arrest anyone. They were here to make sure nobody ran. An older man in a maintenance vest appeared at the door. He held a clipboard and a bag of seals. You needed a cart seal check, he asked. Marissa nodded. We do. Thanks, Eddie. He sealed the remaining meals and wrote down numbers. Ray watched and handed him containers. The purser didn't move. Before we go downstairs, he said to Marissa, one more thing. Marissa raised a brow. He stepped down the aisle to 4C. The mother was still buckling the boy into the stroller. She looked up, startled. Thank you for letting the crew serve your son, he said. I know that sounds odd, but thank you. She stared at him. We didn't have a choice. You did, he said, and you were kind. She looked at Ray. She was kind, she corrected. He nodded. He took a small black card out of his wallet and wrote a number on the back. If anyone asks you for a statement and it becomes a hassle, call this. Also, if you want lounge access on your way back, email my assistant. She'll arrange it. The mother shook her head like the words were a trick. Why are you doing this? Because you were tired, he said, and you were asked to wait again. She swallowed and blinked fast. Thank you. He turned back to the front. The purser watched him like he was a piece of furniture moving itself. Downstairs at Gate 52, the conference room had a long table and coffee that tasted like cardboard. The crew sat on one side. Marissa, two members of training, and a union rep sat on the other. He stood at the end. A screen projected a slide with the global LASA logo and a title, Food Safety and Dignity in Service. He didn't lecture. He asked questions. "What's the policy for reassigning pre-ordered special meals?" Ray answered. "You don't, unless the passenger refuses or there's a safety issue." "What's the policy when you're short-loaded? Document, inform, apologize, offer alternatives," the senior attendant said, voice brittle. "What's the tone?" "Respectful," Ray said, without looking at the purser. He nodded. He clicked. A photo came up, a manifest with a red circle around Veg 4/4, a timestamp. Then a photo of the foil container in a passenger's side compartment. He didn't show their faces. He didn't need to. "This is not about one flight," he said. "It's about a system that lets people decide who belongs." The purser shifted in her chair. "Is this a courtroom?" "No," he said. "It's a kitchen." The training lead, a woman with a gray streak in her hair, leaned forward. "We will retrain this crew. We will also do a line audit. If theft is involved, that's separate." The union rep lifted a hand. "We protect our members from undue discipline," he said, "but we don't protect fraud." Ray looked at her hands. The senior attendant looked at the table. The purser stared at him. She had the look of someone who had built a little kingdom and watched it shrink. He clicked again. A slide appeared with a single sentence. "Everyone eats. These meals are numbers on a paper for some of you," he said. "For us, they're contracts. For passengers, they're food. Underlying all of it is respect." He met the purser's eyes. "You don't have to like me. You don't have to know who I am, but you do have to treat 2A like 1A or 4C like 2A or economy like business when a kid might get sick." The purser opened her mouth, then she closed it. Ray raised a hand like she was in school. "Can I say something?" He nodded. She stood. She was small and seemed smaller, but her voice didn't shake now. "I've seen meals go missing," she said. "Sometimes we're told to set aside extras for pilots. Sometimes we let friends take them off the plane. Sometimes we say we're out when we're not, because someone in 1A wants seconds. I didn't know what to do. Today, I did what I thought was right, but it felt wrong because my boss told me no." The room didn't move. Marissa wrote something down. The union rep did too. The purser's jaw clenched. "So now I'm a thief because I tried to keep a VIP happy." "You're a leader who forgot the policy," he said, "and a leader who taught bad habits." She flinched like he'd touched a bruise. Her lip trembled once. "I grew up on these flights," she said, voice low. "My mom cleaned these cabins. She told me to take care of rich people because they tip the sky. I learned to smile for them. I forgot to smile for anyone else." He felt something in his chest shift. He didn't want pity for her. He wanted something more practical. "We're going to do two things," he said. "One, training starts now. 2, Ray, you'll shadow the training team for a week. After that, you'll help write a module on handling shortages with dignity. You'll get a stipend. Purser, your lead wings are suspended pending the outcome of the audit. You'll attend the training as a participant." The union rep started to speak. Marissa held up a hand. "This is operational, not discipline," she said. "We can do this." The purser's face crumpled, then hardened. She nodded once, like a person standing in a cold shower. He turned off the screen. The room felt wired again. He looked around. He had another meeting in 20 minutes. He could have left it at that. He didn't. He reached into his bag and pulled out a thin envelope. He slid it across the table to Marissa. She opened it. Her eyes flicked down and widened. "That's a fund," he said, "for crew meals." "We have crew meals," the senior attendant said, confused. "For when you give them away," he said. "For when a child cries. For when someone in 34B hasn't eaten because their connection was tight. It's not charity, it's a budget. Use it, track it. Don't ever tell someone we're out when you're not." He turned to the purser. "And apologized to Ray." The purser stared at him. Ray stared at the table. The room waited. The purser's mouth moved. The first try stuck. The second came out. "I'm sorry," she said to Ray. "I put you in a bad position. I was wrong." Ray looked up. It took her a second to absorb the words, then she nodded. "Okay," she said, her shoulders lowered. He checked his watch. Time. As he stood, the purser said, "Why didn't you just tell me who you are?" He buttoned his jacket. "Because it shouldn't matter," he said. On his way out, he stopped at a vending machine. He slid in $1. He punched C7, even though he knew what that slot held. The machine whirred. A pack of crackers fell. He picked it up and held it for a second, then tossed it in the trash with the wrapper still on. A young gate agent stood by the window, watching a tug pull the plane out. She looked at him like she'd been eavesdropping. She had. Is it true you own the food? She blurted, then flushed. Sorry, that was dumb, he smiled. I own a lot of problems, he said. She laughed, surprised at herself. They said you put the entire crew through training, he said. Yes, she looked toward the conference room. We need it, she said, almost to herself. He nodded. We do. As he walked toward the escalator, his phone buzzed. Lanny again. COO waiting. Media heard. Do you want to comment? He typed back. No statements, no headlines, just fix it. He stepped onto the escalator. People around him held phone cases that matched their outfits. A man barked into his headset about logistics. A kid dragged a suitcase shaped like a dinosaur. He kept moving. On the curb, a black car idled. The driver jumped out. Mr. De La Cruz, he said. He got in. The car pulled into traffic. He watched the terminal slide past. A flight attendant in uniform hurried across the sidewalk, hair loose, heels clicking. She held a paper bag like it was the last warm thing in a cold world. He tapped the window twice. The driver slowed. The flight attendant's eyes met his for a second. She smiled automatically, then for real when she recognized him from the gate. He thought of the purser's mother. He thought of his own mother, who had sold Halo on a stool under a tarp. He thought of a boy eating rice with his fists in 4C. He thought of a word he hadn't used yet, belonging. At the hotel, he stepped into a ballroom where a table waited with a pen and paper and executive smiles. The COO stood, hand outstretched, other hand already holding an apology. Before they sat, he said, one condition. The COO froze, compelled by the tone of a man who had already decided. We put a clause in the contract, he said. A dignity clause. We train the crew together like we've planned. We give them authority to spend money when food runs out. We give them cover to do the right thing when policy conflicts with decency. And we audit monthly, transparent, public. The COO nodded slowly. Agreed, he said, like someone swallowing a pill without water. He signed. The COO signed. Cameras clicked. He ignored them. 2 hours later, Ray sat in a break room with a notebook open. The purser sat across from her, eyes swollen. The training lead set down coffee. Start with a story, she told Ray. Ray scribbled. She wrote, a kid in 4C. She drew a line and wrote, a plate in a bag. She drew another line and wrote, a man in 2A who didn't eat. She crossed out, didn't eat, and wrote, chose to wait. On the evening news, a reporter talked about a viral moment and a mystery CEO. They showed a blurry photo of a man in a suit in 2A and a shot of police boarding a plane. Comments scrolled across screens. He turned off the hotel television. He didn't need to watch it happen again. His phone buzzed one last time that night, a number he didn't recognize. A text, thank you for helping my son. We made it to my mom's. He's watching cartoons. He says the rice was good. He typed back only 2 words, sleep well. The next morning, another plane took off with a full meal load and a crew that had sat in a room and said something hard out loud. At the door, the purser paused as she greeted a passenger in a hoodie. She looked down at her hands, then she lifted her head and smiled like it cost nothing. She turned to Ray and whispered, everyone eats.